Hi, God bless you all. Today we are going to see a little bit more the Palm Sunday. Uh, I will not read all the Gospel. It's important that we begin today a Holy Week, the most holy of all weeks, preparing for the biggest feast in our Christian faith, love, life, love to our God. So today the church was reading the Gospel of Matthew. It's important in the Gospel of Matthew that is written for Jewish people. So we have whole time we can see that Matthew tries to show that all promises, all scriptures are fulfilled in Jesus Christ. That all persons, all prophets was talking some way about Jesus, was an introduction to him. So this we have a lot in the Gospel of Matthew and in the Gospel of today also. And it's helping us to focus on love that Jesus had for us. So, as we were seeing, but I will concentrate much more on the first gospel. If you have been to the church or have followed Mass today or remember from the other years. So, in the beginning, when we begin the procession with the palms to the church, we begin with the gospel of from the entrance on Palm Sunday or on some days before to Jerusalem. And if you remember, yesterday we were talking about Jesus staying in the house of Lazarus, Mary, and Martha. And this is in Bethania, very close to Jerusalem. So between Bethania and Jerusalem, there was another village, Bethphage, the house of figs. And this there in Bethphage probably was the donkey that Jesus used to come to Jerusalem. So most probably Jesus slept over in the house of Lazarus, Martha, and Mary after the feast that we were talking yesterday, and going to Jerusalem, he asked the disciples to go to the next village and take the donkey that he could use to get into Jerusalem. And how was it celebrated in the first church? This is what we are trying to follow this Egeria, her pilgrimage to the Holy Land. So she is saying that from the first voice of the animals, um, they are going to the church in Anastasis. Uh, but from there they go to a church called Martyrium. Um, and this is behind the cross. So for now, it's one big church. If you have been to Jerusalem, you'll remember for sure. If not, you maybe have seen it on videos, on pictures. But you enter when you entrance the door on the right side, you go up to the cross, to the place of the cross. This was one church in the beginning. Then martyrium. Martyrium was common name for churches built on graves on martyrs. But of course, the biggest martyr was Jesus. So it was built a a very big basilica in that time, where the main celebrations was. And then Anastasis was another chapel, the only the grave where Jesus was put down and then come back to life in resurrection. So just to have a picture of this, Anastasis, as we said yesterday, is resurrection. So this was the chapel of the grave, and Martyrium was this big basilica. So early morning they are meeting there, they are praying hymns, psalms, and then the archdeacon says, from tomorrow, whole week, at 9 o'clock, we meet here in Martyrium. But today at 7, you have to be ready in Eleona. Eleona. Eleona was, yeah, we will see that after, but this was the church where Jesus was teaching the thing that he was teaching in close to Jerusalem. Of course, he was teaching whole time, but there is a special place. Probably you have been there, you have seen it for sure. It's the place where Jesus was teaching the prayer, Our Father. There is a cave there, or a grotto, where the tradition is saying that there have Jesus given this big prayer, this fantastic prayer. So after that, and there is the Our Father also in many languages. One of the first languages that you see is Icelandic, if you like that. But they were supposed to meet at 7 in Eleona, in the church of Our Father. So they have at 6, more or less, in the morning, they are finished with the prayer. They have time to go home, eat something, and then they go to the church in Mount of the Olives. Because as you remember, Mount of Olives, it's in front of Jerusalem, and there a lot of churches is there. In this week we will have many possibilities to see different churches, different places in Mount of Olives, because a lot of things are happening there. Jesus went there many times to pray and so on. But it's not so far. It's some 100 meters from the walls of Jerusalem. But of course, there is a small hill you need to go up. And from Eleona, they prayed there, and then from there they go to the top of this Mount of Olives, where it's called Imbomon, the place where Jesus went to heaven, where you can see like his feet in the stone. Then the Muslims said after that Muhammad has also left there his sign of his feet, but they were just copying everything from from Christians. And there they sit, it's written in Algeria, because the whole people was supposed to be sitting when the bishop was there. Just in was standing the deacons, those who were serving, and there they pray. They read the hymns, antiphons, and prayers during the whole time. So when the hour is 11, they have to be at 7 in the house, in the church of Our Father. So 4 hours later, they have been praying in the church of Eleona, and then in in Beaumont, in these two churches on Mount Olive. Uh, so at 11, they read the gospel about the children coming with the palms and saying, "Blessed be he who is coming in the name of the Lord." And Bishop is going down, and together with him, they go from this top of the Mount of Olives, and whole the crowd is going with hymns and singing, "Blessed is he who is coming in the name of the Lord." All children, even those who cannot yet go by themselves because they are too small and they are carried on the back of their parents, they hold in their hands palms or olive branches, and they lead the bishop at the same way that Jesus or the Lord was led to into Jerusalem. So from the top uh, of the mount, then through whole the city to the church of Anastasis, everyone goes by feet. And there are people important among them, and they are leading the bishop. But they go very slowly so that whole the crowd can be there. And in the evening, they come to Anastasis. And even if it's evening, so they pray together Vespers, then a prayer near the cross, and then the people is sent home. So this is whole day prayer with hymns, with psalms, but in the places that Jesus have been. And this is already, it's helping us to see totally different the masses, the prayer, that is not something that God demand us to do 1 hour a week, that we have to go to say, okay, I have done my work. No, it was to be there to use the time to could see that Jesus have been here, that he have done something marvelous in our life. So the whole church, not only bishop or priest, was praying, but this was the entering the Holy Week, that we could do that in prayer, that the whole people, entire crowd, and all those pilgrims who were coming, so they were going to participate in this whole day prayer, to bless Lord, to ask Him to do the same in our lives. So there are many things I would like to to say. We don't have time, and you don't have strength to listen to me for so long time. So I will try to focus just on few of them. One is this donkey and a colt with her. So the other gospels are saying just about one donkey, but Matthew is very specific here about the colt because the gospel, the prophets, Isaiah and Zachariah, they are saying about uh, mm, here the gospel is citating two different prophets. And in this, it's about a donkey and a colt, full of beast of burden. um, and this is, of course, to show that this have been fulfilled in Jesus. And after it's, we read that Jesus sat on them. And of course, many people have criticized Matthew, who was saying that this was stupid. How could Jesus be sitting on two animals in the same moment? So some of the church fathers has tried to say that he was sitting first on the colt, on the small one, but because it was too weak, so then on the mother. Some others says that this was so young, so inexperienced animal that the mother needed to be there together with him. Some others they are saying that because they have put on this donkey the clothes, so that this them is referring to the clothes. But it's not so important for us just to show that every word, every orthographic sign is important in the Bible, that it's something that it's giving some new insight, that is giving understanding. So this is very important also to could see that, and that about the grammatical form or something like that that the fathers have discussed between them. And I'm not meaning the discussions we have in the today's exegesis, that everyone just want to show off that they knew some, that they know something different. But here was to find really what is meaning and how it's important in our life. But to come back to the donkey, so this was the very poor animal used by the past by the farmers, um, or by the poor people. The Romans they have of course horses, so the rich Jewish people they have also horses normally. But here it's a king it's coming. We read the prophecy. It was saying that your king is coming, and Jesus coming on a donkey is showing that he's king, that he's Messiah in a very humble way. Also, if you read the fool, the colt is the beast of a burden, and the tradition said that the father or the donkey father, it was a beast of a burden, so even less than a normal monkey. It was used for transporting things, the less worthy animal that there was that could bring people on them. So this is already something that can help us uh, to see to see that, and it's very interesting if you read other um, accounts or other diaries from the time of Algeria, from the fourth, fifth century. We have one that is saying that here is the tree from which one they were taking the palms when Jesus was coming in. And we could say, of course, but this is not sure. This how can a tree, a palm tree, live 300 years, 400 years? But this is not so important. The understanding that this have been concrete, but not concrete in our meaning that it must be scientifically this tree, this stone, but that has happened. So they were using, yes, here is even the tree from which one they were taking, not to just make up something, but to show that everything has a concrete place in this. So Mount of the Olive, and they are going to the city. And also another thing, this was the Hosanna, blessed he who is coming in the name of the Lord. This was a normal thing to greet the pilgrims that was coming this way. From Jericho, they were going up, ascending to Jerusalem, to temple. I will try to explain this after, but this was a normal thing, and then the pilgrim was responding, and blessed are you from the house of the Lord. It's a psalm that they were using to this. But also this gate is gate where they were saying that Messiah is going to come, and the Jews believe that this gate will be open. Now it's closed, but they believe that it will be open and Messiah will come through this gate. If you see here, a very known part of Jerusalem, the gate is here, more or less, from what Jesus entered. So here we have Mount Olive. Here we have some graves. Here are Muslim graves. But you, I am sure you have seen this valley of tombs close to Jerusalem, and they are only the rich people who have their tomb. It's something amazing how much it can cost. I remember once they told me, but hundred of dollars, of thousands of dollars, or maybe more to have a place there, because they want to be the first one to meet Messiah when he will come. So the Muslims, to to show them this respect, they have built their own cemetery close to the wall, saying, "Okay, even if he is coming, so then you have go through our cemetery, and you will be impure, that you cannot meet Messiah." Of course, it's some stupid our thinking, human thinking. When Messiah will come, he will come for everyone, and impurity will not more exist. But this is just to show the faith that also Muslims had some believing that Jesus was coming there, even if it was only, or the Messiah was coming there, even if it's only to show disrespect for the Jewish. But it was so serious that they were building there, even putting in danger. So this was one thing. The other thing I wanted to talk about, if you have some strength to listen me still, so it's the pilgrimage, because as I was saying, this was the verse used to rate the pilgrims who were coming. Every Jewish man have to go to Jerusalem 3 times a year, and this pilgrimage it was normally the road was leading from Jericho. If you see here, so this is a map. Here we have Jerusalem, Bethania, Bethphage, and here is the mounts of Samaria. Here we have Galilee. So when people from Galilee were coming to Jerusalem, normally they were not passing through the mountains of Samaria, also because Samaritans, they didn't want to allow them to go. You remember, maybe there is a gospel saying that some Samaritans didn't receive them in their village because they were going to Jerusalem. So normally people were coming down and then going to Jordan River. Many times they were passing the Jordan River and going on the east side of the river. That now it's not more in Israel, now it's Jordania. um, so, and then from Jordan, in the place where Jesus was baptized, and many other things has happened that I will not go to there today. There, they were going to Jericho, and it's also very important, this Jericho, because Jericho is close to the Dead Sea. As you maybe know, Dead Sea is 300 meters below the sea level. So this was always seen also as the city of sin, as the city of that you cannot fall more than to Jericho. It was a very rich city. Not so going from Jericho, it was going up in ascending the mountain, because Jerusalem is also like 800 meters, 890 meters over the sea level. So it's around the 1,200 in some places meters of difference between Jericho and and Jerusalem. And this going up, it's very important for the Jewish people. It means to go in pilgrimage to Jerusalem. They were just go up or ascend the hill. Even people living in other places in Jerusalem that was higher than the temple, they were going around the city to could go up the last part. Or even if they were going down, just they were going, I am going up to the temple. Because even if the temple is not the highest place physically in Jerusalem, but it's the place of God. So I need go up to Him. I need to leave my sins, my weakness, and go up to Him to meet Him there. Of course, it's also a struggle to go up. So this is also a fight that we have, a struggle to leave our sins, everything behind us. So this is very important, is going up. And then they were passing through this hill of olives, through the Mount of Olives. There they have this Bethania, Bethphage. So probably if we read the gospel or the yesterday's gospel, Jesus visiting Lazarus, Mary, and Martha, so probably Jesus slept there in Bethania and then coming on the way. But if we read the Gospel of Matthew, so just before the entrance to the Jerusalem, we are in Jericho. And it's very important also to could read Bible in the context, what is before and what is after. It's explaining us a lot about the text. So there in Jericho, Jesus heals two blind people. And this is also a key how we can read this, that those who have not seen him as Messiahs, they are blind. But Jesus wants to give the healing, wants to give he would like to give this view to everyone. So this is also, I think, interesting question. But the two blind people, they were shouting, "Please help us." We know also about the third blind man in Jericho, Bartimaeus, um, Timotheus. Yeah, but we have this in other gospel, and he was also shouting, "Please help me, please." So this is important to this entrance to Jerusalem, this pilgrimage, this going up, ascending that we have to do, is also to acknowledge that we are blind, that we need that Jesus can open our eyes, that we are blind, we don't see His love, His forgiveness, His being present also in this difficult time in that we live now. So this is important to have all this in mind, I think. But also, just before we read about the fight between apostles, who is most important by them. Also, the mother of two of them is coming and saying, "Please think about my sons." Maybe she was saying, "Remember the good soup I made for you when you was visiting our home." So Jesus is coming, Jesus is telling them, also the other apostles, they are angry at these two and so on. But Jesus is telling them, if you want to be the first one, be the one who is serving. So this is also a key to read the gospel of today, that he is showing that he is taking the last place as king, as Messiah, but he is taking the last place and invites the disciples to do the same. And also, if we read just after Jesus' entrance to Jerusalem, he is going to clean the temple from those who are selling things, changing money. Of course, all things needed for the cult. But it's very dangerous many times also in our life to focus just on this practice sides of our meeting with God. So Jesus is going there to cleanse this temple, and he's also coming to us humble and saying, "Okay, I would like to clean your temple, to take out everything that is not in according to me." So this is also the gospel of today. This is also how we begin the Holy Week, that we permit Him to purificate our heart with His word, with His presence. So this, I think, is all things that can help us to read the gospel of today and also enter the the Holy Week in a deeper way, with help of archaeology, geography, and also of this area of the liturgy of the first church. So hopefully see you tomorrow. If you like, of course, it's not obligatory, but we will go on tomorrow and hold this week. Maybe also after we will see how it will develop. So God bless you. See you. Let us pray one for each other.